Okay, this is the review for your Chapter 3 test. It says, write each linear equation in standard form. So standard form is in the form of ax plus by equals c. We went over this last week. You have to have x first, then y, and then the constant. So x needs to be on the other side here. So it's going to be 3x plus y equals negative 6. Here, y is on the left, which it should be, but x is not. Let's move it to the other side and make it negative 4x plus 3y, and now there's nothing over here, so 0, and that's okay. However, this has to be positive. B and C do not have to be positive. So if I multiply by negative 1, we get 4x minus 3y equals 0. It is important to show arrows and to show every step if you're allowed to be using this for, let's say, a test. The next one, x needs to be on the other side, so we have negative 1/4 x plus y equals 2. If I multiply everything by a negative, then I have 1/4 x minus y equals negative 2. I can't have 1/4, so I multiply by its reciprocal 4, and this becomes just a 1x, a negative 4y, and a negative 8. By doing so, I have a whole number in the front. So let's recap. X plus y equals c. Okay, you have to have whole numbers. You can't have fractions. And right here, it has to be positive. It can't be negative. Number 4, find the x and y-intercept of the graph of a linear function. To find an x-intercept, you plug 0 in for y, and to find a y-intercept, you plug 0 in for x. So here, I see zeros. Your x-intercept here would be negative 8, and your y-intercept here would be 6. On your y-axis, you intercepted at, here's the origin, 1, 2. So y-intercept is negative 2. And then here, 1, 2, 3, your x-intercept is 3. Number 6, it says graph each equation by using the x and y-intercepts. So to find an x-intercept, we put 0 in for y. When we do that, the 0, 3 times 0 is 0. So the 0 is going to disappear, and we get 2x equals 12. Therefore, x equals negative 6 when I divide negative 2 on both sides. So x equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, let's say I did that wrong. That's just one little missed point. If you graphed it correctly, I'm not going to mark the graph wrong because you're graphing the correct but incorrect x-intercept, okay? And then for y, plug 0 in for x to find y. This is going to go away, and 3y equals 12. Therefore, y equals 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. You do the same thing for the next one. To find the x-intercept, you plug 0 in for y. Now, this isn't in standard form, and that's okay. So x is going to equal 0 plus 5, x equals 5. So go over to the x-axis and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To find the y-intercept, you plug 0 in for x. Then you have to solve by subtracting 5 on both sides. Y ends up being negative 1. It says graph each equation by using a table of values. Well, you could just use x and y intercepts again. All you need is 2 points. Okay, or it doesn't matter. You can just plug any points. You could do negative 1, 0, and 1. So if I do that, y ends up being, what's 3 times negative 1? Negative 3. What's 3 times 0? 0. What's 3 times 1? 3. I pick these numbers because there's a positive, there's a negative, and the neutral is 0. So we have a negative 1 and a negative 3. We have 0, 0. And we have 1, 1, 2, 3. So you can graph an equation just using a table of values that aren't necessarily zeros. Do it the same here. Why don't we try pausing the video And try using, again, -1, 0, and 1. You don't have to use these numbers. You could use 3 and -3. It doesn't matter. So when I plug in a negative, -1, y is going to end up being 5. When I plug in 0, there's no -0, it's just 0. Y is 4. And when I substitute in 1, y minus 4 equals -1, y equals 3. So -1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3. And that is your graph. Next page, it says determine whether each function is linear. If yes, determine the rate of change. So all you need is 2 points, or m is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So the change in y is, we're going up how many each time? We went up to 0 is 1, from 0 to 1 is 2. From 1 to 3 is also 2. From 3 to 5 is 2, and 5 to 7 is 2. Okay, so my change in y is 2 over, I'm going down 2, I'm going down 2, I'm going down 2, I'm going down 2. So my slope is -1. So rate of change is -1. You could say, yes, it is linear. If you don't have a constant or consistent rate of change, then it's not going to work. So your slope or rate of change is delta y. This is called delta, or just change of y over change of x. The change here is 3. The change here is 3, 3, 3. Change of x is -2. Wait, you went down, or I'm sorry, you went up 2, you went up 2, you went up 2, and then you went up 1. So it's not a consistent rate of change. If this is 3, that's fine. If you went down to 1, then this should match it, but you went up 3. So 3 over 1 is not the same. So no. Here it says find the slope of each line. It's your movement. So start at any intersection. I just randomly pick this point. You have to go to your next intersection, which would be here. So you went down 1, 2, 3, and you went over 1, 2. So your movement is -3/2. And then here's an intersection, and your next intersection's here. So you go up 1, 2, 3, and you go over 1. So your movement here is up 3, right 1, so your slope is 3. It asks you to find the slope of a line that passes through each pair of points. So this is your first and your second x and y, and the equation is the changes in your y's, the changes in your x values. And I don't care which one you use first, but make sure you use the same order you do for the x's. So if I use 10, then I use 6 second. Then I use 2 first, and I use 8 second. So you're going to get 4 over -6, which is going to be, when you reduce it, divide by 2, -2/3. Do the same thing again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Slow and steady wins the race, as I'm sure you've heard that. It just helps you to be more accurate. You want to go slow when you're dealing with all these negatives. So -2 minus, careful, a 4, -6, careful, minus another -6. So what's going to happen is this is going to be -6 on top, and these, put it in your calculator. It'll either work or it won't work. So your answer is either 0 or no slope. You can't divide by 0. It is undefined. Therefore, there is no slope. These 3 little dots mean therefore. Here, like I said, if it was 0 over 6, that's okay. You get 0. Okay? Here, x1, y1, x2, y2. Same thing again. -2 minus -1 over 9 minus 6. You're going to get -1 over 3. x1, y1, x2, y2. 6 minus 2 over -7. Careful, minus a -7. Oh, whoops, I did that backwards. My bad. -7 minus -7 over 6 minus 2. This becomes 0 over 4. Like I said, put that in the calculator. You will get a 0. It works. 0 slope looks like this. No slope looks like this. All right, number 18. The average cost of online photos decreased from 50 cents per print to 15 cents per print in 2002 to 2009. It's because of technology. Find the average rate of change in the cost. So in 2002, it was 50 cents. In 2009, it was 15 cents. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Your slope is 15 cents minus 50 cents over 2009, minus 2002. So in that 7-year span, what was the difference? Can you simplify this? If it's not pretty, then you go back. So that was a difference of, this is this. So what does that mean? It went down 5 cents per year. Okay. So we're halfway through, okay, but go through. Are you writing everything down? We're not just here to get the answers and get the points on a review, but we're here to have that work, all the steps shown, help us when we're trying different problems. So make sure you go back and do that. Our next sheet, we're going to deal with direct variation. It says if y varies directly as x. So every single time we're going to have this equation. Write the equation and then solve for the missing piece of information. So y equals kx. If y is 15 when x is 2, find y when x is 8. So we're going to use this to find what k is. So k is going to equal 7.5. Now they want you to write an equation. The equation then would be y equals 7.5x. X and y will change, but k, our constant, which is kind of like our slope, will not. Then I'm going to use that 7.5 with a new piece of information to find that missing piece. So write the direct variation equation, boom, solve, boom. Okay, make sure you do those two things. Same thing again, y varies directly as x. As x gets bigger, y gets bigger, and vice versa. So if y is -6 and x is 9, that means k is equal to -6/9, which reduces to -2/3. Therefore, the equation is -2/3 x. And now we're going to use that equation, -2/3, and x is -3. When I do that, the negatives become positive, the 3's cancel, and I just get a 2. It says, suppose you earn $120 for working 20 hours. Okay, so I get $120. That's my output y. I worked 20 hours. That's my input. That's what I was in control of. So y equals kx, because they want to write a direct variation equation relating to this. So if I make $120 and I work 20 hours, what was my k? What was my rate of change? What was my hourly wage? So k is going to equal 6. So that tells me I'm going to make $6 per hour. So what if I worked? I'm in control of that. What if I work for 36 hours? 216. Okay. Directions for the next 3 terms of the sequence. So what's happening from here to here? It's arithmetic. I'm either adding or subtracting something. So how do I get from 0.02 to 1.08? Well, I added a 1, and then how do you get from 2 to 8? Well, that's adding a 6. Now let's see. If 1 and 1 is going to be 2, 8 and 6. Yep, that's what I do every time. So I'm just going to have to keep adding a 1.06. So 3.2 plus 1.06 and that's 4.26. And then if I add another 1.06, that is 5.32. And then I add another 1.06, that is 6.38. And here it looks like I'm going to be a fourth. Okay, from a fourth to 0, I removed a fourth. And then I removed a fourth, and then I removed a fourth. Well, I did. A negative 1/4 minus a fourth is a negative 2/4, which reduces to a half. So if I remove a fourth again from 1/2, just go ahead and do that on the calculator. So this is what I would do. I would say negative 1 divided by 2 minus negative 1 divided by 4, and then you get 0.25, but you hit the math button, fraction, enter. And that's negative 1. Oh, I'm sorry. How's that negative 1/4? You're removing a fourth again. Let me check this out. I see what I did. I subtracted a negative 1/4, but that'd be like adding, so that's not what I meant to do. So I have negative 1/2, and we subtract 1/4. Math, fraction, enter. So you're going to get negative 3/4. And then take your answer and subtract 1/4, and you get negative 1. And then when you subtract 1/4, or 0.25, you're going to get, math, fraction, enter, negative 5/4. Okay, and leave it as an improper fraction. As you get into higher math, we don't do mixed numbers. It is just not as mathematically sophisticated. Okay. All right. Last one, write an equation for the nth term of the arithmetic sequence. What is a sub 12? So we learned from that delta math over and over, the equation is going to be written like this for both of them, right? You take your first term, and whatever you're adding every time, you do it n minus 1 times. So whatever term I'm finding, it's the first term plus your common difference. It looks like you're subtracting 3 every time, n minus 1 times. And what does n minus 1 mean? Well, if you're trying to find n terms, you're adding 1 less than that many terms because you already have the first one. So this is going to be negative 3n and then plus 3. So a sub n equals negative 3n minus 5 is your equation. Same thing over here. You can write it like that, or you could have just left it like this, whatever term I'm trying to find. I'm subtracting 4 every time, n minus 1. You could leave it like that too. I don't like to, so it's going to be negative 4n plus 4, a sub n equals negative 4n plus 32. So it says with the two equations, what would be the 12th term for each? So if I substitute 12n, negative 3 times 12 minus 5 is negative 36 minus 5, which is negative 41. And here, the 12th term would be negative 4 times 12. Negative 48 plus 32 would be negative 16. Okay. Like I said, if you're not writing all this out, make sure you go back and do that because you get to use this on your test if you are in my 2023 spring group. I might not let you if you're in a different math class. Okay. A man burns 10 calories per minute biking and 7.5 calories per minute inline skating. His goal is to burn approximately 420 calories daily. This situation can be represented by this equation, where x is the number of minutes spent mountain biking and y is the number of minutes spent inline skating. Find the intercepts and graph the equations. Okay, don't look at this and get intimidated. This is literally this. It's just asking you to graph the x and y intercepts. Here's the thing. When you're reading these word problems, even myself sometimes, I have to go back and read them a few times. You need to get familiar with the problem. So if we find the intercepts, to find the x-intercept, you put 0 in for y. And to find the y-intercept, you put 0 in for x. So 10x equals 420. Divide by 10, x is 42. Here, the 10 goes away, and 7.5y equals 420 divided by 7.5. Y equals, let's see if this is a pretty number. If it's not, we'll manage. 56. And then Connect them. Find the intercepts of the graph of the equation and graph. Boom. What do the intercepts mean in this situation? Well, if x is 42, 42 what? Minutes mountain biking. And then it was what? Inline skating. 42 minutes mountain biking with no inline skating burns, what did we say? 420 calories. "56 minutes of skating alone burns 420 calories as well." What are 3 possible numbers of minutes of biking and skating the man could do to reach his goal? Well, what's on this line? It says 3 possible numbers of minutes. So you just have to find 3 intersections and state those. 35, 7. Okay, so 35 minutes of biking, and then what would be over here? 7 minutes of skating. So any coordinates you find, you'd have to do 3 of them. So you go ahead and do the other 2. Okay. Right here, it says, what is the slope of a horizontal line? We're going to skip to the easy stuff. What's the slope of a horizontal line? What's the slope of a vertical line? Well, I just told you in the previous page. If you can write the word 0, it's 0 slope. If you can write it up and down and write no, it's no slope or undefined. I like to say no slope. It's undefined, therefore there's no slope. All right, here's the more trickier one. It says we're going to give you what the slope is, and then you got to figure out what r is. So x1, y1, x2, y2. I see they're talking about slope, so I'm going to use the slope formula and fill in everything I can. Oh, I actually know what m is. M is 8. And 13 minus 5 is 18, and then 3 minus r. The 8 is technically over 1. When I cross multiply, I get 18 equals 8 times the quantity 3 minus r. 18 equals 24 minus 8r. I'm going to subtract 24 from both sides. Therefore, r equals 6/8, which equals 3/4. And that's it. Here, x1, y1, x2, y2. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So negative 3/4 equals r minus 5 over negative 3 minus 3. What would r be? Let's clean up as much as we can. R minus 5 equals negative 6. When I multiply them together, I get negative 18 equals 4 times r minus 5. Negative 18 equals 4r minus 20. Add 20 to both sides. Divide by 4, r equals 2/4 or 1/2. Okay, these are kind of intense. There's only going to be like a problem on your test. Just do your best. You have this worksheet, you'll be fine.